Hey, good evening. This is Tom Aiken from Boom Life. Welcome to the second episode of BoomShare. Tonight we're interviewing Zak Fick. Zak is the founder of Help University, and I'm going to let you hear about what he's doing with his words in just a few minutes. But we want to talk about the values that inspired him to start this business and keep driving him to keep pursuing this amazing dream. So, Zak, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Help University?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Um, I guess I've grown up here, born and raised in Sioux Falls, so the Midwest and Sioux Falls specifically is really near and dear to my heart. Um, went to a private grade school here in town, and then high school. I actually went to a private high school, Christian high school, and alluding to the values, that was a good foundation, and I continued building on that with going to Bethany Lutheran in Mankato, Minnesota for my undergrad, and I just finished that up here in December, and now I'm at the University of Sioux Falls, also Christian college, and pursuing my MBA there while building this business, Help University, which I hope is clear from the get-go, that it's a very value-driven business. So when I saw what Tom was doing, and thanks for reaching out to me because having a business that's value based is something that I want to do. I want to stand out because of things I stand for and ways that I can help people. That's where the name comes from. Help you.
Yeah, that's a great play on words. I really like that. How you kind of shorten Help University to help you.
Yep. And I guess I can roll into what that is. My idea, the dream, as you've been saying, is Help University. I thought in my undergrad, the guys that I did sports with and everything, they were some of the hardest working guys I knew. And they had to be because they were student athletes. They would put in 40 hours a week on the field, and then they would still have to hit the books after that. And they needed money just like every other college student, and I thought, well, what if we could line up odd jobs or stuff in the community that they could do, whether it's mowing or raking, and I was just kind of the go-to guy for that. And I started it as college labor force, just using my cell phone and an email address, and started lining up jobs in the community where we would just help out and make some money. And I did that in my undergrad, and then I thought, well, I've made $10,000 for my buddies and just doing this as a one-man show. I should at least do my due diligence pursuing this as a business. And then the more I began to look into it, sort of the bigger the idea has started growing, and now the idea is huge and the execution is small, and now I'm hoping the execution can begin to follow where I would like to see this sort of spreading out from where it's at. So the idea behind Help University is to connect college students with their communities or alumni of their college to do odd jobs, anything you have: mowing, raking, babysitting, tutoring. If you need someone to run an errand, you text them your grocery list, and hey, they show up with it an hour later at your doorstep, and you just pay them and they get on their way. From the student's standpoint, they sign up, and they just get notified whenever there's jobs in their area, and they can pick whatever fits into their schedule. It's money on the table that they can take, jobs that they wouldn't have otherwise. And from the college's standpoint, it bridges that gap between students and alumni or their communities, and really begins to create a really cohesive environment where the communities are using their college students that are available right there, and they're connecting with them. And who's to say that there aren't connections built with the people that are hiring them? Where do those people work, and what are they saying about these students in the community? And I think the whole idea, if properly executed, and I believe I can do that, is something that can create a good environment for all that are involved, and it could really take off and serve sort of three different areas with the students, the colleges, and the communities. So
It sounds like you place a high value on relationships here. Is that something that
absolutely,
you're gearing towards?
absolutely, and I think a good story to that end would be, some people have asked me, well, how do you, once the college student works the job, how do you keep it from that person just calling up that student and them doing it back and forth? I look at it as a business thing. Well, maybe you want them to use your site every time, but I look at it as that college student and that person now have that relationship built. Who knows where that takes the college student? And that was made possible by using Help University as a platform. Now, how I usually respond on the business end is the college student isn't going to remove themselves from the site because one person is now calling them, because then they'd be missing out on all the other jobs in the community. The person that uses the site, hopefully had a great experience. That's why they'd call the college student back. Hopefully gives good referrals, good reviews of Help University that could be used to that end, but also would post jobs in the future if maybe that student isn't available, and everything. So, we're not going to weep over people using our system. It's succeeding so well that they just use them as their own personal contact. I consider that a win. And maybe from a business standpoint, there's ways to monetize on that later. But I'm going to create that problem first and respond to it, later, because I think I have bigger fish to fry.
Well, I think that's a great approach, because you're kind of relying on gratitude and loyalty as a part of this, and don't forget that word of mouth, when that customer that has a great experience with the college student you connected them with, is going to share that experience with their friends. And so even if they do kind of circumvent the system, what are your thoughts there? Do you think that that's going to help grow the business and help develop more relationships for you and the college students and the people in the community?
Well, absolutely. I think the first thing to realize, in thinking as the business side of things, is if we get to that level, that's a certain level that's already, we've attained a certain level of success if we're already at the level of people are circumventing the system. And I don't think that's going to be a 50 or even a significant percentage of the jobs that are posted issue. It'll be a small thing that we may have to address, but I think it's great that the relationships are being built there. I think the people that are using the site, obviously if they're calling that student back, the student did a good job. So, them talking to, their friends or their colleagues about using the site, obviously that's going to, them using the site and then recalling that student, that could actually, say that drives us 3 customers just because they had a great experience. We're not going to fret over the one because they got us the 3 additional contacts.
I always like to try to talk with folks about the value propositions that they're trying to create, on either side. For you, you're trying to create a value proposition for the students themselves and for the local homeowner or the local business owner that may be looking for some very short-term work. What kind of words would you use to describe some of those value propositions, say, you're creating for the the person in the community who needs help?
Well, I guess I would say my value that the students would add is, first off, you're connecting the people in the community, like you said, a small business owner that, maybe they just need their windows washed, and instead of hiring a professional service, that's a couple times a year thing. They would use a college student. They, they have access to them right there. But what they're getting is they see, first off, the college student is a college student there. We verify this, that the students, where they say they're going. You get professional quality help, you would hope, from a college student. This isn't a high school person or someone's just friend. This is someone that is going to college, so they've been weeded out from the masses, that these are people that are studying professionalism. They're studying how to become professionals, but they haven't finished their degree, so they're not demanding that price point of $50 an hour or what have you. So you'd get the verified student, you'd get the price point at whatever you would want to determine. So that's a value to the business owner. A small business owner, if they had control over the price that they would pay for the service, that's great for a lot of odd things that they need done around their business. Where they can say, well, I'd pay $10 an hour for this job. Not every student would sign up for that, but if you're washing windows, $10 an hour, you do it for 2 hours. I made $20 on a Thursday afternoon, and now that's $20 closer to paying off books for next semester. That's $20 more towards tuition, or that's $20 that I can use at a restaurant with my friends or what have you in the community. So it goes right back into the community. Other values that you'd add is I'm starting to see just off the first few jobs is people are really beginning to embrace the fact that they're helping a college student. It's almost like you're donating to their future. And while I haven't looked into the tangible marketing aspects that I could use to spin this, but it is a very tangible thing that's being created through this relationship, is they get almost personally attached to, I didn't just hire a college student, all of a sudden that college student signs up and comes to my house, and all of a sudden I'm working with Johnny here, and Johnny has this backstory that I learned when I met him, and all of a sudden I'm giving a $5 tip at the end of it, just because, hey, he's a student athlete, he's working hard, and he did a great job here. They tip him, and that's a huge value that's added to the relationship side of things, but also to the person getting the job done.
So it sounds like when from the consumer standpoint, the person who's paying for these services, they're getting you're fulfilling the value proposition of some convenience that there's folks out there are students out there who are ready and available in a kind of short notice. There's a financial value you're creating in, as well as kind of a safety and security type of value through your verification process.
Yep. And I guess what I'm trying to create on all aspects, and we can get into the colleges or students later, but right now on the consumer's end, the questions you're going to have is, what's it going to cost me? Because you're paying for something. And, well, you're going to choose that. Now, it also sort of gives them a crash course in capitalism or being competitive, because if you say, I'm going to pay you $1 an hour, you're probably not going to have students sign up. But it'll also add, value, like I had mentioned before then. People would ask the question of, well, so I'm hiring this college student. How do I know it's a college student? Well, we verify that. They have a .edu email address when they sign up for the site. Those that aren't readily available with communications, I ask that they at least send me a student ID, a picture of their student ID or a scan of their student ID to verify that they're a student. And right now, with such low volume numbers, I can verify that fairly easily back and forth. In fact, many of them I can meet here in town. So it's been relatively easy, and we would streamline that service as this business grows. That's one of the steps that we'd go through. But verifying that they are students, and not only that, I would actually like to have on the site a rating system for you as the consumer. So say Johnny finishes the job, you washed your windows at your business. You go on there, and my rating system would be it's actually an A through F scale. You'd grade them on their job. So you'd say, he did an A+ job washing the windows. Here was the job. Here was the time it happened. The amount he was paid. Here's about how long it took him. And here's what I thought about Johnny. And then all of a sudden, Johnny has 20 reviews that you can look at, and you can say, I had 10 people respond to mowing my yard. Well, who do I want to mow my yard? Well, I can see this. You have Johnny, who's a student athlete. You have this person who's at this university that I'm an alumni of. This person has an A+ rating, or this person has a B- rating, and you can see what other people have stated. So you can choose your people based on their rating, how good of a worker they are. You can also weigh the option of what costs it's going to, what jobs that person typically takes. Also, what school they went to, because alumni would probably like to hire someone from their alma mater, and sort of give back in that way. And you'd also like to just see what other people in the community have to say about that person, and then it gives a lot of information right to the person hiring.
I think that's a pretty cool idea. I'll tell you, I wish it's been about 20 years since I graduated from college. I wish that there was somebody who had a system like this going on when I was in school. It's a great idea. So how's it going so far? How long have you started up Help University? When did you start it, and how long has it been going?
Yep. Well, as I mentioned kind of in my introduction, the idea I've been doing for sort of 2 years. Um, but I'd say the Help University side has really been 8 going on 9 weeks now, since I finally said I have to pursue this idea. I have to start getting stuff out there. And that night I started building the helpuniversity.co website, and just built that myself. And right now, currently, everything that's on there, I'm building myself, teaching myself how to utilize websites and build it towards my needs. And the growth, I'd actually just posted on it today. We're well over 5,000 views now. We're well over 2,000 visitors a month, which is huge. And the continued growth is to build that base. We have 100+ students signed up in, I believe it was 18 states from 25 different schools. And that number is obviously just going to continue to grow. We have had many interviews. News outlets have been starting to pick this up, and that's started to see the growth on the job side of things. We had 6 jobs posted in the last 2 or 3 weeks, which is when I've really opened it up to the job posting side of it. I wanted to have a few students signed up so we could handle any jobs that came on. And actually, I think it's 7 jobs now. But when those jobs are completed, I think we've completed 4 of them, and we have 2 or 3 now that are sort of still being scheduled and worked out and everything. But that will have made students over $1,300 in just a couple weeks here. Money that students otherwise wouldn't have had, jobs that those people would have either done themselves, paid more for a professional service to do, or they just wouldn't have gotten done. And actually running the numbers so far, and this is obviously as the numbers grow, it'll be reduced, but I can use it as a selling point early on. Right now, the students are earning on an average over $40 an hour,
Wow,
which is
that's
like,
pretty amazing.
it's insane. But I think what that's really driving is that these people, when the students are coming on the job, is um, they're really using it. It's almost like a donation to the student. They're kind of falling in love with the student on the spot with their story and everything, building that relationship, and they're contributing to it. So from the student standpoint, come on board, because right now you're earning over $40 an hour on average, and um, and that's it's not like there was one big job of $1,000 posted just recently, but that's $50 an hour. But I think the lowest one we've had posted, and that one's not done yet, so that's not even including tips that they may receive or anything. It was still over that $10 an hour posting. So we aren't even having people trying to take advantage. That was another question, was people trying to take advantage of things and say, well, I'll post it for $5 or what have you, and we haven't even seen that yet. So far, people have been generous. So
That's great. Tell me about what's been your biggest challenge so far? How have you dealt with it?
my biggest challenge right now is sort of sifting through, because I have so many avenues that I can take this down. I can talk with the colleges, I can talk with the students, I can promote on social media, I can try to have news outlets pick this up. I can build this site myself. I can look for investors, and there's all these different routes, and every single one of them, if pursued correctly, has proven to build a business. And so far, I've pursued all of them to a small extent, just to kind of have my bases covered, so that people aren't going on there and like, oh, you don't have your social media set up. Well, it's like they'll go there and maybe it's not super attractive, but it's set up and we have basic stuff going out. I've really streamlined it through blogging about it. on the site, just giving updates and being really transparent. And honestly, if people ask questions, I'm open to answering them, very clearly. I'm early on in the business. I have nothing to hide. I'm open to people's opinions and welcome those. But right now, the challenge is honing down which path to take, because there hasn't been any. If I had an investor step in and say, I'm willing to give you $100,000 for 10% of the company, I would say, okay, now all of a sudden I have investment and capital put into this that I can put into building an all-star website. So it's sort of sifting through what my next steps are and everything, and I think that's typical for a startup. And I'd rather have it be, I have this idea, there's all these different avenues that I have to choose from, versus I have this idea, and boy, there aren't really that many avenues to choose from.
Well, I think that's a typical problem with folks who want to break out and kind of implement a great idea. Great ideas happen every day. It's the implementation, it's making it happen, and that's usually the most difficult part. And so I think people generally tend to get overwhelmed by all of the options, all of the things that could happen, and they don't know what to do first. And so has that been something that you've had to, sounds like you've kind of thought about that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's something that I've read the business books, I've watched the seminars and everything, and that is something, like you said, an idea happens every day, but the execution is what can turn things around in your future. And I'm the same way. I have ideas every day, every time I'm walking down the street, of ways things could be better and whatnot. But deciding to pursue this was my first avenue, and now that I'm pursuing it, what are my steps and how can I best pursue them? And sort of realizing all the different avenues I can take. I think having a healthy respect for all the options you have, and then doing your due diligence for weighing what your next decision will be, and then when you move forward with that decision, sticking to it and seeing it through, until the next fork in the road comes up. And ultimately, you got to keep moving forward. I suppose my first challenge was, I could build this and I could, talk about the idea and everything, but getting students to sign up was my first challenge. So what I did is, I just started talking to the colleges, and they sent out an email to their students, and all of a sudden 50 students are signing up. And using that route. The next issue is, how am I getting jobs posted? And my initial thing was, well, I could just use the press for that now that I have students signed up and this is a viable business. So I used the press, got some local news channels to cover it. That got our first couple of jobs, which now hopefully turn into referrals. They were turned into reviews on the site, reviews on social media, to get that initial foundation created, so we have all 5-star reviews and everything moving forward. But then sort of my next step is actually to work with the colleges to promote it to their alumni, saying, and to their community, in the ways that they do their press releases, and saying, we're using this service, our students have signed up, we're working with them to better serve you in the community, to connect our students to the community more. And that was an answer. When I had the idea, I didn't think of, I was like, well, I want to connect college students who are willing to work with people in the community. And I never thought of, well, how can I do that? And then I was like, well, the college is what both of them have in common. So I was like, if I have them send out an email to the students, that gets a ton of students on board. And then those students tell their friends, and as it builds and they see their friends making money, more sign up. So it's almost like one email, well executed, can end up bringing your whole user base for that college or that community on board, and then sending it to their alumni. Hopefully that has 10 jobs in the first month or 20 jobs in the first month, depending on the size of the school, and then just having them remind them of that, but then also working with the career services department, who field calls like this all the time. I'm happy to say today, I just announced in the blog that the University of Sioux Falls is fully endorsing Help University, to the point of their career services, every time that they get an odd job or a volunteer opportunity in the community for one of these one-time tasks or errands or whatever it may be, whenever people call in, which they already do, they will actually refer them to the site and just say, either get in contact with Zach at this phone number or utilize his site, because our students are signed up right here. Denote that you want to use a University of Sioux Falls student, and it'll just go to those students. And I think working with the colleges in that way is going to address that issue I found out early on.
Outstanding. It sounds like you really put a lot of thought into this. Who are
Yep.
who are going to be the players with the greatest potential impact, and kind of breaking it down into those. There were the people who needed money, and the people who needed help, and how do where are the connections? And so, what that brings to mind to me is kind of that concept that the most powerful part of your network isn't the people it's the people who know other people. And it sounds like you're kind of you're kind of using that leverage to help expand, the leverage that, or expand the network, that Help University has so far in this early stage.
Absolutely, and that's it's funny because I've actually utilized social media at the start of it, and that's how I inevitably met you and everything was, I was back in the Sioux Falls community here indefinitely, and I said, now it's time to start networking. And so I just started following the heavy hitters in the area, people that were doing stuff that were, building businesses or running blogs or just doing stuff, kind of looking towards the future of the Midwest here. And following them, a lot of them directly didn't necessarily help me out, as you have, setting up this interview and everything, it's a direct correlation, but a lot of them say, I'm doing my own thing, I'm busy with this, but I'll tell you what, when I was building it, this person was really key. And all of a sudden they get me in contact with them, and I can sit down and have coffee with them, and sort of get the help that that person received to get their business going, which is now successful, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be following them. But so that person's already brought one company from beginning stages to success, and now I'm interviewing them or talking with them, and hoping to have similar or the same results, and the network continues to grow. So.
Well, I think that's great. What do you see next, Zach? What's on the horizon?
Next, I'm actually I'm at the point where I'm looking for to at least hear out investors, and start to look into that, because ultimately I love this idea, but I want to see this idea out there as quickly and as well as possible. And that next step is to bring on people with capital. I'm a college student still in my MBA, so I don't have the capital or backing. I have the idea and the work that I'm willing to put into it. And if there's investors that are willing to come on board at this stage of the game, I want to start having those conversations so that we can bring the right players on board to build a website that this can be a streamlined process that people can use, and it's easy to use, user friendly, but also flexible with their feedback, and then also to start communicating with colleges around the nation, starting here in the Midwest, that can adopt this and hopefully develop a cookie cutter process that we can utilize with each college, and it just gets easier and more streamlined and gains momentum as we go college to college.
I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. So, you talked about investors, and I think that there's often a misunderstanding with folks who are trying to start up new businesses that, the investors are there to help support them financially, but it's the idea, it's the business concept that the investors are there for. And so, how important is it to you that you find an investor or investor group, as you're trying to initiate conversations that have values that match up with yours?
It's extremely important, and that's why I've actually had offers from the coasts already, but those will be nice to keep on the table. But I want to do it from here in the Midwest. First off, just so that it's local. I want to have, if in any way when I'm growing this business I can help out local businesses and sort of definitively say in my actions that I'm committed to the Midwest. I'm committed to the communities around here. And I would like to grow this so that it's beneficial for everyone in the area, but also business-wise. If it helps investors here on the home front, that would make me feel a lot better than if I'm just helping Silicon Valley or the East Coast or something, just with another thing that just gives them a return on investment. So speaking to that value side, yes. Also speaking to the what did you speak? You just mentioned the the investment on my personal side. I'm not just looking to get my own personal um, side of things covered. For my side, I have parents that have, been really supportive in everything. I have my gas and my phone expenditures at the moment, so as long as those are covered, or we could work that out where I have like my $500 a month that are in expenses that are covered, which from an investor's standpoint, I don't see being a problem. I don't, at these early stages, I'm not even looking to start bringing home a paycheck or anything. I would put all my money back into the company, and I think, that action would speak a lot to my values. That I'm actually committed to the idea more so than the financial gain. And ultimately, yes, I would love to see this become huge, this provide for my future family and everything. But I realize that I think the best way to do that is to grow an idea and a business that is based on those values and also isn't just a moneymaker. The money will follow if the passion and idea and execution are done well.
Well, I think you're on the right track, Zach. Making it about the business, making it about the love for the idea and the passion for the idea, it's going to be I'd say the greatest fuel that's going to keep keep your fire burning as you move on. So let's say I'm a potential customer or a college student that wants to sign up. How do I get in touch with you? How do I do it?
Well, first and foremost, go to our website, www.helpuniversity.co. It's not .com. We got a .co to start with. It was cheaper. But if they go to helpuniversity.co, there's also a contact page, and that has my Facebook profile for Help University. So it's facebook.com/wearehelpu. Has our Twitter and Instagram, which are @wearehelpu. But it also has my phone number and email address for the time being because, I haven't been flooded so far with phone calls or emails. So.
And you're a one-man show still, right?
Absolutely. So feel free to go to that contact page. If you're watching this directly and you get to this point of the interview, drop me a text and let me know that you saw it at 605-951-5548, and then we'll start the conversation.
Sounds great. Well, Zach, I started Boom Life with one simple but audacious mission, and that's to help people find lifelong success. And BoomShare is just one of the ways that I'm trying to do that. And I want to say I appreciate it because to me this is a two-way street. You're helping me kind of live my dream by agreeing to invest an hour or so of your time into doing this interview. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate it. And thank you for what you're doing. I think it's a great idea, and you're going to make a lot of college students happy. I know it, and a lot of folks in the community happy. So thank you for agreeing to do this and for the time you've spent so far.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for reaching out to me, and I'll continue to follow the Boom Life and GPS theory and and everything. And I look forward to all the interviews you do with these Boom Shares, because it gives me I can watch for a half hour and see, well, I need to talk to that person because everything they do lines up with my values and everything. And
that's part of the idea, is trying to find ways to help people find other people who they want to connect with and people who are willing to help other people. That's really the key. So I hope this does help make some connections for you. Thanks again, Zach. We're gonna close it up. This is the end of episode 2. You have a great night, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. We'll see you around.
All right, take care.